Welcome to the Narrate podcast, where we aim to tell God's story with our lives. We'll be continuing to post the Sunday message each week, but we want to dive a little deeper and offer some content to supplement your life with God, and that's where our Beyond Sunday series comes in. Join Adam and Narrate staff as they provide thoughtful discussions, ideas, and interviews that go beyond the message you'll hear on Sunday.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for listening. What we're going to try to do is wrap up or do justice to what we did on Friday by way of the owners' meeting. How many people were there?
84.
Which is bigger than the one in September.
By one.
By one. Sweet.
That's pretty good.
So thank you for those of you who attended, and yet also were aware that just by the nature of the childcare situation, it's really hard for young families. So sorry about that, and we'll continue to try to be creative on how we can get better at that. But also we just wanted to try to provide something that gives you a window into the experience. I don't think we can do it justice. Of course we can't. How would you guys describe the tenor or the temperature of the room? What was the vibe?
Like more fun than you would think. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like I thought it was anyways.
I thought it was good. I think people, they kind of knew what to expect, because last time it was just kind of fast and here's a bunch of information and then we're going to hang out.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was a good vibe.
How many people lingered after? Do you have what would be your guess?
I don't know. I don't think I looked up.
Yeah. It felt like a lot of people left pretty quickly, but a lot's relative.
But at least
30.
half hung out, I would say.
And those that hung out for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Because I finally had to pull the okay,
Start
we're tearing
putting
down. It's funny how as soon as you start tearing down, people either leave or they help.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's what I would do. I would do one of those two things if I was them. So again, part of the goal of this, I guess, is to try to speak to things that would be awkward or inappropriate to speak to on a Sunday, but also we've learned you all like to hear. Because there were more than one relatively new to Narrate, looking to get connected. And
I did have a meeting today with someone who has been around for maybe a year, and they were like, I didn't know what to expect, but they really just enjoyed the update and kind of felt like, okay, now I belong even more because I've experienced this and kind of got some insights. So
sweet.
That's why
good.
I feel like people when they leave, they do feel like they're even more owners than they did walking in. That's kind of the vibe I got.
yeah.
Cool. So we started by talking about giving. Well, I guess we started by talking about attendance and shared these numbers are relative, or these are just September through December, that our attendance is up 8% year over year, which is fun and positive. And does anything stand out to you about the growth that you'd want to say there?
No.
What stands out to me is there's a good number of people that I interact with that they didn't have a church before this, which is fun and exciting. And we then talked about giving, and if you were around in September, you'll know that part of what we explored is just generosity is such a high kingdom value, and I in particular have not done a good job of reminding us of that, and even appreciated a conversation I had with my friend Fred yesterday where he just said, people like me, we should be talking about generosity and allowing people to express that financially in whatever ways they want. But what we know is Narrate exists because of the generosity of people, many of whom have been around for a long time. And so the next 10 years is going to have a lot to do with the extent to which people new to Narrate and even potentially new to Jesus are following the Holy Spirit into practicing things like setting aside tithe and giving. So our giving is up 5% year over year, which is a great start, and we're really grateful, and that's what we talked about with that. Young families, you want to introduce us to what we talked about there?
Yeah, so I guess you and Lexi talked about the kids and nursery available at the 540 gathering for Ash Wednesday and Good Friday.
Yeah.
And so we talked about just having space for, is it babies through second grade?
Second grade.
Second grade, and just having, that space in 326, if one kid is wild, it's like we're all distracted.
Right.
It's it's like a giant box. So I think
Yeah.
that'll be really helpful for young families and parents, and
Mm-hmm.
just to like say goodbye to your kid for half an hour.
Yeah.
And that it's like right next door.
It's right next
you know,
door.
I think that's really cool.
Aspen's doing really, it's being really generous. But did you want to talk about?
Yeah, so
the
we thought we had
too?
quotas. Like,
Yeah.
what we talked about was this joke of like, how are we going to send this email that says we've basically got 30 spots? And then at the end of the meeting, Jake approached us, who manages Alpha Graphics, which is kitty corner, and I mean it's closer to 326 than 326 is to Grand Street. And it was
Yeah.
like, I got all kinds of space over here you guys could use. So that means, and this would be new to everybody then, that we're going to get to offer like babies through second grade specific experiences for Ash Wednesday without giving it a quota.
Exactly.
Which
That's
is
exciting.
awesome.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
And I don't think we did talk about. So we started doing Ash Wednesday before. I mean, the only thing I knew about Anglicans before we started doing Ash Wednesday is that they wore red coats and were the bad guys in the Revolutionary War.
Right.
And our first Ash Wednesday came like 2 years before that. But what's unique, what I'm proud of is, like in our friends who lead C4SO churches, they would generally say that about 25% of their attendance, and that's on the high end, attends Ash Wednesday, and we're closer to 60ish. We're like 55%,
Wow.
which is really fun.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Well,
So this might be our last year of only 2 Ash Wednesdays.
Yeah.
But Ash Wednesday is not uniquely Anglican. Like,
No, it's not.
it's
True, but it's
I feel
liturgical.
like it is liturgical.
Yeah,
We discovered that before.
yeah, for sure. It's kind of proof of concept of
Discovered Ash Wednesday.
Discovered.
The audacity of me to say that.
Yeah, that's that.
Like, oh.
Yep. That's the. Okay, I'm going to tell this story since
Okay.
we're in this. So when I was having dinner with, I don't know if I told you guys this when we were hanging out with AJ. AJ followed Rob Bell at Mars Hill, and at one point he was telling the story how another guy on their staff introduced Rob Bell to Lent. Have I told you this?
No.
And so they did Lent, and they loved it. Rob loved it, and they got done with Lent, and he's like, "That was really great. So what do we do next year?" And the guy goes, "We do Lent." He said, "We do it again?" And it's just, we're all a little prone to that, like the cult of novelty.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I'm excited for Lent, and we'll talk about that in other contexts.
That's good.
I also think Lexi's done such a great job of the Advent things. We talked about that. She did such a good job of lending support there. Gay silently added 12 new volunteers to the nursery
What?
Wow.
since the 1st of
He's such
September.
a superhero.
Of
Yeah,
course she
exactly.
did. Just silently.
Which is good because there's
Mastering
lots of
nursery.
babies.
That's
Yeah.
great.
I think Lexi said she's added 4 to the Narrate Kids team since she got back from maternity.
That's awesome.
They have such a challenge because Lexi was sharing this with me. In most contexts, like when she talks to her kids ministry friends, so much of their recruiting accomplishes when a family walks by and sees Narrate Kids or sees the kids and sees them having fun and goes like, I want to do that. Kind of like serving coffee or any of the number of ways that people volunteer. And Lexi, she wasn't complaining at all. But she's like, I think one of our challenges is if you don't have kids, you don't have that experience. You never get to see them in action. Which
Yep.
was, so it's just
That's
that
true.
reminder we're going to constantly, I mean, kids ministry is only as good as our team, and we have a good team, but need more great people down there.
Yeah.
Students, what stood out to you about Alyssa's student update?
She said they're averaging 10 middle school students a week,
Yeah,
and they're all
really
6th and 7th graders, right?
right.
They have a really great group of kids right
She
now.
said she had 13 last week.
Oh my gosh.
They were all there to pray because the Broncos lost.
But I think Alyssa, along with Jake, and then Cole and Jason and Anna, have done a really great job at just like moving that to Sunday. It's at 326. They do, I mean, I've only been once and it was awesome and chaotic and so much fun. But she does a really good job at leading her team.
Seems like she's brought a lot of like stability to that space.
Stability. The kids love her, and all the volunteers are incredible with kids. So
Jake strikes me as once he gets comfortable, he's hilarious.
right.
I've not interacted
Yeah.
with him extended space. And then Jason, she is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
She wrapped her, what was it? Her like cousins. She had to give the speech at the maid of honor the maid of honor speech, and she rapped it to the tune of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And then, was it you telling me that she did something for her staff this last Christmas?
Again, not me,
Oh.
but someone
I
told you
need to
that.
like talk to her though about her rap skills and
Right.
maybe like recruit
Preview
her
song?
because
Totally. Super Bowl rap
yeah,
songs.
totally. If they keep picking these people like Bad Bunny, then we're gonna
Can
need
she
to
rap in
adapt.
Spanish?
Totally, yeah.
Come on,
She might
Jason.
be able
I feel
to.
like she could be able to if we gave her a week.
She is a legend.
That's great.
She has like 2 little babies, and I get to the gym, and she's like been there for an hour already.
I also need to talk to her how she does that.
And I won't talk about how much she outlifts me. You got to talk about music, why don't you?
Yeah. What were my updates? I wanted to get out ahead of the kids and family choir because it was so fun, and I think people had fun, but the only downside was that it was such a long day for kids. And
Yeah.
If you weren't part of it, the parents and kids that were involved did both gatherings on Christmas Eve at the Civic Center. And I can only imagine
Oh
having
my
like
gosh.
a 5-year-old and giving it was like noon to 4,
Mhm.
and you have to be on the whole time. So if we had so much more interest and people participate than I thought we were going to. So I think if we could keep that momentum, maybe add a few more people, we can split the gatherings and just make it be like you can sign up for one, or we can just
Right.
help people be like
If you want to do 2, go for it.
yeah, if you
but-
want to do both, sweet. If you're older, we had a couple adults, Dave Harris and Ron and those guys that
Mhm.
if they want to do both, awesome. But then that way, if that was like a horrible memory in parents' mind of like what a day, I just
Yeah.
want them to erase it and then just remember the fun stuff, and then hopefully
My
next
favorite
year-
was at one point there were multiple kids running around outside.
their parents were like, "Go take a lap."
Go lap outside. Get the energy
During one of the
out.
messages in the second gathering, there was,
man.
I forget, what is the Sinus boy's name? He was doing the worm.
Hudson?
Hudson, yeah. He was doing the worm at the bottom of the steps of the stage. It was horrible and hilarious, and I
That's
felt so bad
hilarious.
for Chelsea.
So yeah, it was a long day. We're gonna tweak that a little bit for next year, but definitely want to do that again. And then I just wanted to thank the team and the leaders that we have during my maternity leave. They were just really servant-hearted and gave a lot of extra time. And I'm sure it reminded them of when you guys didn't have anybody, and that was probably PTSD for them. And they just
Mhm.
did a great job and were really kind about it. And then to that end, we've added 5 people to the worship and tech teams, and that's a big deal because, if at the point where we don't have people volunteering their gifts, we don't have a great team anymore, and it makes a big difference for Sunday mornings. So we've added
Totally.
a couple musicians, couple on the tech team, and so that'll be really fun to get them all trained up. And then I talked about our songwriting group. We put out a podcast about that. If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. But we're going to keep doing some writing with the Narrate band. And then Jonathan and I are going to be doing some writing with our C4SO worship pastor friends.
That's really exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. That should be really fun. We're going to start doing that. It was going to be this month, but now it's going to be next month.
Sweet.
So that should be fun.
That's cool. I'm so glad
That's
you got
awesome.
invited into that room. These
Yeah,
guys are-
I know.
Is
I'm
it,
hoping that can get.
is it Micah? No.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, Micah.
Mike is the tall guy, and then who's the other guy? Are they
Wes is
oh,
the
Wes, okay.
bigger guy with the beard.
Yeah,
And Rachel Brow is the
Cool.
third one.
That'll be very fun.
Yeah, really fun.
Scattering.
Yeah, I get to talk about scattering. So in October, November, December, we had 565 hours of scattering,
Wow.
which is
So
awesome.
cool.
And then it's 225 people. So we did, just to sum it up, firewood splitting, tag pulling, trail work. We framed the Ailes plaques, which have raised $10,000 so far, which is
Yeah.
really awesome. We went to Habitat. In addition, we got to do those nursing home Christmas parties. Jack Oberweiser helped
yeah.
us lead those, and that was a blast. And then I think our partnership with the foster closet's been really, really fun. We're going to do a podcast with them in a few weeks, so
Sweet.
it'll be fun to kind of hear their story and their journey. So it's a really productive fall, I think.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
This is the year we could have kept scattering in January and February if we'd have known it would have been 40 degrees.
Totally.
I talked to Brad today, and I was like, so we did all the firewood because we thought it'd be 20 below.
Right.
Well, remember last year, right, was the year it got postponed like 3 times.
Yeah,
It was so
exactly.
cold.
Mm-hmm.
He said a lot of those trees that blew down last month, they're going to have ready for
I
us
figured that
in the
was where
fall.
they were. I was worried that's where that. Have you seen the size of those?
So.
But yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
And then one of the big reveals, I guess, though that wasn't the intention, was to have a big reveal, was you and ordination.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that was fun to kind of talk about. I guess that's the first time I'd really talked about it in public, which was kind of fun. I think some of the questions that I got, I answered in what I said. So I talked about,
The it is what? Maybe specify
that I'm in the process of seeking ordination as clergy in C4SO. Is that how you'd say it?
Yeah, sweet.
Okay. It's funny because I said some of the feedback was wow, that was really fast, Hannah. And I talked about just how I'm not a verbal processor and I like to write things. And I'm really private when I'm discerning something. I don't even remember when Scott got brought into the process, but it wasn't even right away. I'm just so private with those things. And so
you were pretty resolute that you were going to finish the Anglican Foundations courses first, right?
I was,
and
yeah.
When did you just finish those in
in
November?
So. It's right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's my way of putting off things I know I should be doing, and I just give myself a deadline. I'm gonna wait till then.
But it's also you had your next step. Your next step was to finish that process.
Yeah, exactly. So I think part of that, didn't really have an imagination for myself being ordained until April of 2025, kind of when we were all in Kansas City and we're at the clergy conference, and that's kind of when God prompted me, this is probably it for you,
And we learned that
steps.
2 weeks ago.
Exactly.
And we were there with her in Kansas City. So if you wondered if she was private.
I locked that stuff down. I don't know why. It's just
fun.
me. It's funny because that was one feedback I had there. There was someone that were you're me. I don't tell anyone. And I'm yeah, exactly. You internally process. I get it. But I think one of the next podcasts I'll do is just kind of going through. I had to write a spiritual autobiography, and it's my story that I had to write. And even in the practice of writing that down, it was cool to see God's thread in my life and the different relationships and events and experiences, and kind of how I was back in 2012, God was hey, maybe ministry, and took me a while to pick up on that. But
what was the hardest thing for you about committing to ordination? For you, what was because it's a commitment.
Yeah,
what's been the
it
hardest
is.
thing for you to say yes to?
I don't know. I think because I didn't. I think a couple things. The lifelong thing is a big commitment that you're gonna do ministry in this way for the rest of your life. That's a big deal. But I think I sit on things for so long and process things for so long that I just kind of resign myself to saying yes to God, and I just know it'll work. It might be hard or challenging, but I feel so sure God calls me into these things that I'm yes, and it'll probably work out. I don't know. So it hasn't actually been that hard. I think. I don't know. Maybe that sounds really naive.
No,
I don't think it'll be easy, but when I feel confident, I can say yes, and I know God will take care of me.
Yeah.
It only took 12 years to get there.
Or 35? What is that?
We're still going. 35, yeah. Yeah.
It's.
Yeah.
I appreciate the way that their ordination process. It's sobering, but not unkind or stuffy.
It should be hard.
Uh-huh.
It should be a challenge to go through all those steps. Like, it shouldn't be something you just raise your hand and you're in,
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah.
I think.
We also did a global scattering update. So yeah, very much looking forward to you doing that autobiography. Sorry, I maybe jumped too quickly. Was there anything you
That's
wanted to say
fine.
about that, Cecily? No?
Very excited.
You're kind of in your own internal process.
Yes.
So global scattering, Russ Hill, who you may or may not know, as well as my wife Teresa, did an update there. Teresa shared a little bit of a background of there was something really neat and local and organic that happened that led to Families with Heart, but then got shut down by COVID, and that's just kind of been sitting idle on the surface, but never really idle in Teresa's heart. Like, she has this big heart for global missions stuff, and especially the humanitarian side of that. Russ has this extensive history, and him and his wife Michelle have lived abroad as support to missionaries for multiple years. So I guess the action step that was identified there is, on the one hand, there's this active process of praying and figuring out where's the one place where we could kind of do for one what we wish we could do for everyone. And then the other part of that is Teresa's likely going to what country?
Uganda.
Uganda, okay. My African geography is poor.
It's okay.
That's East Africa?
Correct.
Yeah. So there's a connection she has through work, which is fun. It's a relational connection. And there's some talk of rallying 5 or 6 nurses to go work in this facility that serves kids with cancer in Africa,
Wow.
which is crazy.
Yeah,
And,
that's wild.
Yeah.
and then there's another one that does something else and now she was just saying the other night that this is how brave my wife is, because I would never do this. But that if the work side falls through, she's like, I think I'll just get the connections and book a ticket and I'll just go myself.
Wow.
Sweet. Do it.
She's so brave.
I would never do that. I don't even want to go to Billings by myself. So global scattering, I think there's some really fun stuff coming. Anything else you wanted to add to that?
I'm going to try and get those to do a podcast as
right.
well, and just
Yeah,
kind
that
of
would be
talk
awesome.
through like the history of global scattering and where we'd like to go.
Mhm.
And then I think, just how we can be praying alongside them would be really good to hear from them.
I even wonder if you saying that, if that's, I hadn't thought of it this way until now, but I wonder if it's 2 podcasts. Like, you could do one with Teresa. Could be like a little mini series and get the history, do one with Russ and just hear his story,
Oh, yeah.
and
we
then
could
bring them
do
together for a
this.
third. And
Really, yeah.
That'd be awesome.
There's a lot there. So.
Yeah.
I like that.
Russ he also shared this cool prayer, and it sounds like he's pretty passionate about praying for missions. So if you're a person who wants to pray for missions and join in that, you could reach out to
I'm texting
Russ.
him right now to ask him to send me that, and we'll share
great.
it.
Yeah, so you can reach out to Adam, and then Adam can send it to you. It
Yeah.
is a pretty powerful prayer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Because that would be cool to have a group of people just kind of join together and pray for
Yeah.
that at Narrate. That's pretty cool.
There are people who pay lip service to prayer, and then there are people who it's like their spiritual gift. Well, and I guess that's unkind. There's people who pay lip service to it. That's all too often me. There's people who do it, but it's not necessarily their unique gift. And then there's guys like Russ, who it like very much is his gift.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then we talk about church planning and residencies. So Jolene, who is on our council, her and I are going to Kansas City April 13th and 14th. There's an organization called Made to Flourish that is supported by, it's a really neat organization. You can find it online. They do a lot of things. One of the things they do is they gather up entrepreneurial people's and just generous people's resources to help them then give that to churches to build residencies. So Made to Flourish has this passion that there's good seminaries and there's good church internships, but you're not always bringing those two together, and they're forecasting this huge shortage of church leaders in the not too distant future. So going to their conference gives us the right to apply for their grants, and if we were to get their grants, basically they match you 50 cents on the dollar for church planning or residencies. So it would be misrepresenting, I think, the heart of the council at this point to say that we've committed to planting a church. I think similar to the way Hannah described ordination, like there's this like, just feels like we're supposed to be taking next steps. I think as a council, we've always from the very beginning talked about church planning and even like set aside funds for it on some level, but have never done a great job of like activating. My wife would say her perspective, because we went to DC in September to like a little church planning huddle with some C4SO churches, and her perspective was the staff was never stable enough. Like that's her view, is like there's so much strength and stability in the staff right now that it gives us collectively room to think about planting a church, not just keeping the one that we're in afloat, which kind of makes sense. And what's fun is C4SO's history of planting churches is around Todd Hunter and just his high acclaim and popularity and people coming to them, and what they're trying to shift to is more of a mother-daughter church model, which is what we experienced from Harvest and Journey, and so we have some experience there. So I'm excited. I don't know where it all goes, but we're going to continue to take those steps in that direction, and we should know more this summer. I think the application deadline, if we choose to apply if we come from KC and it still feels like something to keep pursuing, I think the application deadline is July 31st, and then you find out in September or October 1st, and then all their residency funding starts January 1. So in the like, if it all were to happen kind of scenario, there's the potential that we would start a residency January 1 of 27. That's like pipe dream stuff, but would be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be really awesome.
And we go plant a church in Butte. That's where I think we should go. Where do you think we should plant a church?
That's a good question.
I don't know.
I mean, Butte would be cool.
That's Butte cool.
I have so many connections there. There's people in Narrate now that I think would go. Like there are some, because that would be the goal, is that you're sending 30 or 40 people to Butte who are relocating, and Lewistown's the other one.
Ooh, Lewistown's kind of growing. It's kind of like
it's
a
hot.
I thought you were going to say kind of gross. I was like, yeah.
No, it's hot right now.
I've only been there like twice.
I haven't been there since I played middle school basketball, but
yeah, they're like.
No, I lie. I threw up in their Kmart parking lot as a kid.
But I got a feeling that we wouldn't recognize it.
No, yeah. Jonathan grew up there, and he already is like, it's like way bigger than it was when I was a kid.
Let's go. A lot of that'll be determined by the who.
Yeah, that's
if we were to have it. So then we talked about C4SO, and man, I'm hoping as you're listening to this, you have some backdrop, and if not, probably the next step is let's have lunch or something, or deep dive into our podcast stream. But really what we named on Friday night was the analogy that I've been using is that there comes a point in any dating relationship when the most honest thing a couple can say to one another is, this is headed towards marriage. And when that moment arrives, the work isn't finished, it just deepens. Ideally, those closest to the couple and the most trusted and all those things are invited to offer input. And so a couple names that and then invites others into their lives to ask them hard questions and provide more scrutiny. And only then would then an engagement happen. And our council came to the realization, and I think our staff as well, but probably before them, that it's probably disingenuous at this point to not name that things are getting serious, and we're in that part of the analogy of things are headed towards marriage. That doesn't mean any commitments have been made, doesn't mean we're engaged, but just to say, man, the benefits are starting to so outweigh the negatives that we probably need to start taking this more seriously. What would you guys add to that?
I would just add, like, we are having a hard time finding any negatives. Like, it's like all benefit at this point. Yeah. Especially for staff.
Yeah, I think we were kind of, like, we saw the benefit it had on you, Adam. And then I think I'll just speak for myself. But I was surprised in the benefit I found in C4SO. And I think maybe we all were kind of like, oh, this is like something that we could get excited about too and be a part of this community. And so I think that's kind of where we're at. I do think the next step is Bishop Jeff coming. Sorry, you're planning to talk about that.
Yeah, no, that's great. Go for it.
When he comes in April, I think it's just really important for him to see us and how we do things and get our vibe, if you will.
Right, and us his.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, so spent a little bit of energy, and I'm not going to try to reproduce it all, but I've had a couple people tell me that I just have to get over this, but I am aware of the fact that if you wanted to see what I've done as disingenuous, there's lots of room to do that, because I asked to enter in as a missionary priest, which left to myself would be my preference, is to stay one. Like, I like when I hang out with my C4SO friends and I'm the weird non-denominer, and I love when I hang out with my non-denom friends, I'm the weird Anglican guy, but just I'm trying to make allowance for that could have looked manipulative. And again, to overuse analogies, the analogy that I would use is, I don't hunt or fish, but I know people who do, and I know there's this game of like, you find your spot and then you kind of keep it for yourself. And I think of college when you're broke and you find that little booth in the library or that coffee shop that has a few seats but a good happy hour or whatever, and you kind of try to hope that it doesn't get discovered for losing it for yourself. And in hindsight, I think that's the way that I've told this story to myself, was I didn't really think a lot about it, other than there was this, we have a tight staff, we are covering a lot of ground together, and so I wasn't able to contain the value I was getting. I think one of my charisms is networking, so it's kind of natural to pull you guys and others into these relationships, and so I think if I wanted to prevent this, I should have just like done the fishing hole thing, because I should have known that had you guys experienced C4SO, you're going to have a similar experience as I, and that seems to be what's happened.
Yeah.
So what we've identified as a council, to kind of not bury the lead, is the next steps, we've been saying this for a while, would be for Jeff Bailey to come visit and everything Hannah described there. And I thought that was going to be no sooner than September, October of 26. And I think out of their kindness and some prompting from others, Jeff is now coming the weekend after Easter. And he'll be here. We'll do lots of meetings with him and staff and council on Friday, and then same with on Saturday. I think there's even the potential that we're going to take him to Butte and kind of cast some vision for some of that. Cool. And then he'll preach on Sunday, and then Sunday afternoon, none of this is official, but it's feeling more official because Jeff agreed to it on my calendar when I sent him the calendar invite.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He wants to do a public ordination of Hannah, like with the church. And I said, that's a great idea if we're trying to kill the church. Because what I experienced by way of ordination was all of the high church stuff. And it doesn't animate me. I respect it.
Yeah.
You have a great analogy for marriage with that, like that we put on weird clothes and we say weird things. But it also gave us a chance to say, like, okay, but we have an imagination for very low church, so if we can do that in street clothes. And he was like, sweet, I'll be shocked if he doesn't wear his purple shirt and collar. That's fine.
Which is fine.
Yeah, but you'll be dressed the way you dress.
The real question is, can my pants have holes?
That's true. I think just to make the point, you should wear
I'm in.
So anyway, it's probably at 3 o'clock on Sunday the 12th in 326, we'll do an ordination experience where you're actually getting to participate and watch Hannah. The vows that clergy make, they're no joke.
Right.
They're pretty
intense.
Yeah. I think that's, and I don't know if there will be music or whatever. I don't know how extensive of a service he wants to do. He may want to do communion. Well, again, we haven't had that conversation. He is a traveling man right now. He will have, by the end of May, visited every church in C4SO.
That is
just like 65 churches
in
a span of like 8 months.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's very impressive.
Do you think he gets motion sick? He can't, right?
He can't.
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh. There's no way.
So and then probably then we'll probably take a little break, and then we'll do a Q&R with Jeff. So someone could come to both, they could come to one or the other.
Right.
But really what we're trying to do between now and April is A, get this information to you, and B, solicit the questions that you have. What we're trying to do right now is collect what are the questions that we have, and so that we can be thorough in that process. Just because we're naming that it's getting serious doesn't mean that we're in a rush, but it just felt like the most integrous thing to do is go like, hey, I think this is getting serious. But the danger would be that it would be even more serious, and then we would have less of a runway to include people.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's just so hard to predict where this lands, and lands different for everybody.
Mhm.
How would you describe the responses to this on Friday?
Positive.
Yeah.
Positive. Yeah. I don't know. Not that I wasn't expecting any certain type of question, but there wasn't really as much like of the skeptical questions
Yeah.
that I thought there might be.
Yeah.
Not that those aren't welcome, because I feel like this is the point where
Right.
we want those questions, but
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
there weren't really any in the room anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we always get that question of, can they tell anybody who's ordained? So that'd be Hannah and I now. Can they remove you? Can they tell you where to
Oh, yeah.
go?
Oh,
Can they
right.
assign you, I guess?
Yeah, just
Yeah,
randomly.
that's a
Yeah.
good question. The answer is no.
Yeah, no, they cannot. They don't hold bank accounts or deeds, so it's not like Episcopalian Church or lots of other mainline churches where the denomination actually owns the assets. That's all local.
Mm-hmm.
We've done the bylaw work, and actually our bylaws really don't change much at all. The only thing that changes about our bylaws is they nuance a little bit around the role of the council is in things temporal, money, budgets, and the role of the pastoral staff is around things spiritual. So it becomes a little less congregational in the governance, or a lot less congregational, which I think is the right thing for now because we have such a strong staff. The rotating council, which we've already introduced,
Yeah.
and even though it can sound disingenuous to say this, the bylaws even go so far as to say that all it would take is a 3/4 vote from the council, and boom, we're out.
Right.
So it's a commitment, but it's not. If something went crazy, you're not bound.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a meeting, let's see, next week, and a meeting the next week, and we just kind of invited, and they don't have to come to me. Like, if you have questions you want to field personally, you can reach out to any one of us. If you have questions you just want to kind of get added to the cache of questions that will get asked, you can email those.
Yeah, Lexi started them in here for us.
Did she?
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some, it's a really big deal, and for some, it's like, could we just get over this?
Yeah.
And we're trying to be sensitive
That's the vibe I
to.
get.
To
yeah.
both, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I guess, and I don't think I actually did say this on Friday, but if Narrate was to become an Anglican church, like for me, the rationale is threefold. One is the staff that's not even currently here. Like, I still
Yeah.
think it's the best thing for the longevity of Narrate.
Mm-hmm.
I think the second is it's really important to say that just because, like, this is a group that really believes that a good Anglican, you don't even know them as Anglican. You just know them as Christians. I love AJ's comment is Jesus is our language and Anglicanism is our dialect. So
I like that.
the point
Does
being,
he have a book that all these quotes are in, or do you just talk to him a lot? Because there's a lot of AJ
Yeah.
quotes that are really good.
I just don't stand tall on my own 2 feet, so I remember what other people say and I cite it.
Oh gosh.
But so really, I guess what I'm trying to get at there is, if Narrate was to become an Anglican church, someone themselves becoming Anglican is not a requirement for membership. It's not a requirement for being an owner.
Mm-hmm.
It would sit there as an option, but this isn't really about that.
Right.
This is
Mm-hmm.
it really is about the staff more than anything, and it's about Jesus' desire for one church and doing our part to kind of like push a little bit against the fractured Catholicity, though a loaded word, is something that I really think matters.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah. What else would you say about that?
Well, then, by way of getting out all of this information, I know we're going to do a podcast about your book, but do you want to mention
Oh,
that?
if I can get Amazon to freaking receive the file.
No!
Take the file.
Amazon.
So yeah, we in the background for a couple years, I'll let that story be its own, has been some writing and some work that I've done and Hannah's done and Leslie's done, and so what we're going to do is release probably in early March a book that I think you were the first one to say, like, we've created the book that we couldn't find. Daryl Stordahl was just saying that to me over coffee, because because he took some of those Anglican Foundations courses, and he's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I think what that book does is it creates this really condensed explanation for what are these things. So it's going to amount to
Yeah,
probably
I
being like a
agree.
150-page book that is some part narrate story and then some part just Anglican 101, like what is the Book of Common Prayer?
Right.
What is with scripted versus spontaneous prayer? All of those things. So, and yeah, the reason we're choosing now to release that is in hopes that it'll further stimulate people's questions for when Jeff is here.
Yeah. I think it'll be a good resource too for people that come in 2 years down the road, 5 years down the road. It's like,
Yeah.
here's this resource that can kind of tell you our story and kind of catch people up or like give them the language early
That's
on
good.
to better have conversations.
Yep.
I think it just
Yep.
gives you common language and references that
Yeah.
would be really helpful.
Yep. And a good resource for if we do get into the church planting world, like for
Yeah.
drawing people that have an imagination for that.
It really is a big tent. Like that, I was just explaining to the spiritual director I talked to today at lunch. I was like, it's so funny because, like, when we go to South Carolina and hang out with these other C4SO leaders, we're just like, our church is very different.
Yep.
But that's part of that's like part of the love that the group has for one another is that diversity.
Yeah.
And so what brings that to mind for me is like, I'd like to think that we still actually have a lot of late modern evangelical mega church kind of stylistic qualities to us.
Yeah.
Even though if someone's watched the whole arc, it'll feel like they're all gone. But I think because there's going to be some people who walk in and go like, this is an Anglican, and then others that would walk in and go, this is an evangelical. And so
Yeah. See, you can still exist in like the weird space in the middle
Totally.
if you want.
Yeah. Yes. So, anything else?
I think so.
I don't know. I don't think I would add anything else.
Okay. Well, hopefully this was helpful. Like you said, we're trying to shoot the gap between making those owners meetings like meaningful and worth attending, but also recognizing that information is probably so valuable that we also don't want to be controlling with it. So hope this is helpful, and hope that whatever questions it stirs, that you'll reach out. Thanks for all the ownership that you put into Narrate.
If you'd like to learn more about Narrate Church, find us online at narratechurch.org.
You can also look us up on Facebook or Instagram. Thanks for listening.